Hi, my name is Elliot, and when I was younger, I fell head over heels in love with the maid who worked for my family. You see, I grew up in an extremely wealthy family. My mom was a fashion designer and my dad owned a tech company. They were super rich. My mother came from money, so she was also an heiress of sorts. My grandparents were so posh, and they traveled all over the world. They even met with several kings and queens in different countries. I was used to seeing pictures of my granddad and grandmom with famous people when I visited them. It was so cool. My parents really spoiled me when I was a kid. We had a really luxurious lifestyle. Dad and mom had bought several houses all around the country. We had a beach house in the Hamptons and a penthouse in New York City. Then our winter cottage and our country house as well. I spent most of the year in different households and had friends all over the US. We even had a beautiful mansion in the French Ravine, and we'd travel there at least once a year. That's where I learned to speak French and fell in love with its culture. My dad was a big car enthusiast, and so he bought several models every year. He even had an amazing garage specially built to house all his cars in perfect conditions. A mechanic worked on them twice a week to make sure nothing happened to them. My dad took such good care of his vehicles, my mom used to tease him that he loved them more than he did her. Mom also had an expensive taste. She owned several purebred King Charles Spaniels and French Bulldogs. They all had papers and each puppy costed a small fortune. Mom spoiled them all rotten, and I had so much fun playing with them when I was a kid. They were like the little brothers and sisters I never had. We also had several long trips during my summer vacations from school. We visited so many exotic locations. I loved tasting the local cuisine wherever we went. So I had ramen in Japan, bulgogi in Korea, bigos in Poland, shawarma in Turkey, and pad thai in the Philippines. I also took a little souvenir from each new country, and I kept them in a special piece of furniture in my bedroom. This allowed me to remember our trips and the amazing time we had as a family. Since my parents worked so hard, we rarely spent time together. That meant that our trips were the moments in which I could really hang out with them for more than a few hours. I know that my mom and dad were really ambitious and career-oriented, so I don't blame them. However, I did feel kind of lonely growing up. I had lots of friends, but I moved around so often that none were really close. That meant that I saw them every now and then and couldn't really just call any of them up to hang out whenever I was bored or lonely. That was until I met Carla, one of our family's maids. You see, as all our houses were so big, we needed several maids to handle the cleaning. We also had a few cooks and, when I was younger, nannies. My parents trusted me though, so when I became a teenager, they let me stay alone without the babysitters. They were really nice with their employees though, and insisted I treat them all with respect. I'm happy my parents raised me that way. I think that people who have money and are mean to those who work for them are selfish and spoiled. My mom and dad made sure I understood that no one was worth any less just because they didn't have the same income as they did. So whenever they hired a new gardener, maid, or cook, they called me over to meet them. I was used to this routine and tried to be as nice as possible. So I wasn't surprised when they called me over to meet the new maid. I was working on my homework and heard mom asking me to go downstairs. Of course, I obeyed rapidly and walked into the living room. I was frozen in place the second I stepped into the room, though. Standing there by mom's side was the most beautiful young woman I had ever laid eyes on. She was stunning, her skin dark, her hair wavy and pitch black. Her eyes were bright and green. And then her smile. It was the prettiest grin in the world. She had little dimples on her cheeks that made her look youthful and friendly. Her body was gorgeous as well. I think I fell in love with her right then and there. No matter how nice my mom and dad were with those who worked with them, I still didn't think they'd be happy with me having a crush on our new maid. So I kept my mouth shut and pretended that I fascinated by the girl I had just met. Carla was just a few years older than me, and she was so friendly and sweet. She worked as a maid for wealthy patrons to pay for her college education. I was really impressed by her drive and how determined she was to follow her dreams. She was hardworking and cheerful, and I couldn't help but try and spend time with her while she cleaned. At night, I couldn't help but daydream about her and imagine how neat it would be if she was my girlfriend. I didn't want her to think I was just interested in her looks, though. So I decided to wait, get to know her, and let her know me better as well. Carla came over twice a week to work in the house. She was really efficient and hardworking, and I loved seeing her smile and hum while she worked. I tried my hardest to get her to like me. I flirted all the time and even got her small gifts. Sure, with my allowance, I could have bought her anything she wanted, but I didn't want Carla to believe that I was trying to buy her affections. I made her laugh often, and she looked beautiful when she giggled. I was determined to make her happy. So when I felt like we had finally built a connection and she seemed to like me back, I finally decided to ask her out. You can't imagine how happy I was when she said yes. I thought that maybe she'd think I was too snotty or that it would be wrong to date the son of her employers. I was so relieved, and we decided we'd enjoy a picnic in the park during our first date. The problem was, I soon began asking myself what my mom and dad would think. I didn't want them to be mad with me, and I certainly didn't want her to be fired. So I told her we needed to keep our relationship a secret, at first at least. She seemed kind of upset at that request. Apparently, she was worried that I was embarrassed to be seen with her. I tried to explain that the truth of the matter was I didn't know how my parents would react. If they decided to fire her and she couldn't afford her expenses because of me, I would never be able to forgive myself. So she ended up agreeing to keep our relationship a secret. We would hang out every single day. We'd watch movies together and play games, as well as chat for hours at a time. I enjoyed so much having her in my life. With Carla by my side, I didn't feel so lonely any longer. She made me feel truly happy, and she even encouraged me to apply for the college of my dreams. I had the money to get in, sure, but I didn't know if I was confident enough to risk being rejected. Carla told me I should always follow my dreams, no matter what. I fell madly in love with her and could already imagine spending my entire life by her side. But would it work? Would she continue to date me after she graduated from college and didn't work for my family any longer? Would my parents approve of our relationship? My mom and dad were very important to me, and I really wanted them to get along with my girlfriend. The truth of the matter was, I couldn't stop thinking about what would happen if my parents found out. If they told me they didn't want me dating Carla any longer, I would be heartbroken. I'd have to choose between my family and the love of my life. And how could I do that? We began speaking about getting married after she graduated. I was so happy when she said she'd love that. I could imagine her all dressed in white and with that beautiful, big smile on her face. I began thinking about how on earth to let my parents know about my secret relationship with our super hot maid. One day, while Carla and I were hanging out in my room, my parents arrived early from work. I didn't hear them coming since we were watching a movie while cuddling up in my room. Mom opened the door and I jumped from the bed, completely surprised by her walking in on us. I was stunned, and I didn't quite know what to say. I finally confessed to everything, that Carla and I had been dating for almost a year, that we were in love, that I wanted them to understand that I couldn't imagine dumping her. I really did think that my parents would be so mad at me. I could already see them screaming and scolding me. But much to my surprise, they weren't angry at all. They were kind of upset that I had kept my relationship a secret from them so long, yes, but that was it. They told me that they didn't care who I dated as long as I was happy. They wanted whomever my girlfriend was to be a good person and to make me smile. It was clear that Carla fitted that bill perfectly. I was so relieved, I can't even tell you. Carla was happy to be welcomed into the family so quickly. My mom and dad did end up firing her though, but not in the way you'd think. They told her that if she was dating me, they'd be more than happy to help her with her education. After all, if she did well, their son would be happy, and that was an investment worth making. She was shocked and at first refused their offer, but they kept insisting. Carla eventually agreed to let them pay for her education, and that gave her time to study without so much stress and spend more time with me. Mom and Dad even invited her to come with us on our next family vacation, and every vacation since then. She got to see France for the first time in her life, and I loved seeing the fascination in her eyes. My parents adore Carla nowadays, and they love her as a daughter. We ended up getting married, and she's currently pregnant with our firstborn. My mom is super excited to be a grandmom, and Dad is already buying all kinds of toys. I can't wait for our son or daughter to arrive to our lives and fill us with happiness. Thanks for watching. Have you ever fallen in love with an unlikely person? Tell us all about it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and check other videos on the channel.
Hey guys, Mark here. Just wanted to make sure you're all aware we now have a Facebook page. The link is down below in the description, so go over there and give it a like or a follow. And if you find these videos entertaining, share it with your friends and family. We'd really appreciate that.